Good morning. Welcome to Sussex and welcome to this live session of a campaign built on lies. In 2018, three people by the name of Gail Bradbrook, Simon Bramwell and Rogerl Hallam founded an organisation called Extinction Rebellion. It hit the headlines very, very high profile, where they lay down in front of traffic and they were persuading people by illegal means to support Extinction Rebellion. The organisation has spawned two subgroups, if you like: Just Stop Oil and Insulate Britain. All three of those organisations have used illegal methods where they've chained themselves to motorway gantries, causing massive tailbacks, sprayed property, broken into property, and generally they have used illegal methods, not democratic methods. And I think that's one of my main objections to Extinction Rebellion. One of the examples of that is that in 2019, Rogerl Hallam, one of the founders of Extinction Rebellion, stood for the European Parliament because we were still electing people at that time to the European Parliament. He won for his Extinction Rebellion group 7,416 votes out of a possible nearly 4 million votes. So the democratic mandate was not there. And our democracy that we live in is what we've got. That it may be a creaky system, but it's the best system that we've got. And Rogerl Hallam was decisively rejected at the ballot box in 2019. So I think it's only fair to look at somebody like Roger and say he's very well meaning, but Roger has really been rejected by the British people in a democratic sense. And by all means stand as local councillors, by all means stand as an MP and throw your hat into the ring, Extinction Rebellion, but don't play outside the system. So it was founded in 2018, and I think that many of its supporters are middle-class people who are, you could argue, are very entitled people. Many of them have a dropout mentality and rely on their middle-class parents to fund their lifestyle. Also, Rogerl Hallam and the other founders have been reported, and I can't verify this, that their ideas, their thoughts about Extinction Rebellion as an organisation came out of the use of, when they were using illegal drugs, I think it was cannabis, they were high on cannabis, and the idea of Extinction Rebellion came to their minds. Now, I can't verify that, I can't confirm that, but reports have said that they use illegal drugs, and much of their founding principles are dropout principles. They're not democratic principles. They're founded on a flawed ideology that there is a climate crisis. There is no climate crisis, I would argue. The Extinction Rebellion, Just Stop Oil, Insulate Britain, impedes the lives of ordinary people. So, for example, in any group of people, you'll have people going to work, talking about traffic now, where they lie down in front of traffic. You will find that they will stop people maybe on their way to their lawful employment, going to see relatives, and also not caring whether they stop people who are maybe visiting sick or dying relatives in hospital. So all of these people are doing things that are completely illegal. It is a rejection of democracy, and our system may be creaky. I may disagree with my MP, but it's the best we've got, and I would urge anybody to stick with it. Also, Extinction Rebellion have what I would call anti-human policies, so that they value the planet, which is seen as almost deified as a new religion, above human beings. So they almost reject themselves, really, which is a very strange way of thinking. It puts nature above human beings. It's a rejection, if you like, of the Judeo-Christian ethic and values. It has a entity called Mother Earth, if you like, for want of a better phrase, that they worship. And then they bring into the mix this made up crisis, the climate crisis, which apparently came out of nowhere, that's saying that the Earth is warming up catastrophically, which I reject because the data and the evidence clearly does reject that. And then they panic ordinary people. They put ordinary people to severe inconvenience, actually, and they really are on the edge of anarchy. And I would argue are a terror organisation. They're supported by people like Greta Thunberg, and Greta Thunberg famously was lauded and brought forward into Parliament several years ago. We're now speaking in 2023. Greta Thunberg is in her early 20s, and she has no educational or scientific qualifications whatsoever. And Greta Thunberg was almost like the Joan of Arc figure for the environmental movements. And I'm sure many environmentalists mean well. And I would class myself as a logical, rational environmentalist. You know, I want to stop the throwing away into landfill of plastics. I want to plant trees. I want to, within certain bounds, rewild parts of England. However, we need to make sure that we work with the farming community. We need to make sure that we don't build our ideology on a idea of a climate crisis that is completely non-existent. There is no climate crisis. Climate changes, it's always changed. And people have adopted the idea of a climate crisis, a climate emergency, when there is actually no climate emergency. And they've demonized CO2, which is one of the building blocks of living beings, if you like. And when you scientifically examine the data, it really doesn't hold up. And I have put links in some of my other talks which clearly show this. But I just wanted to return to somebody like Roger Hallam. Roger Hallam was reported as saying that the Holocaust of 1939 to 45 under the Third Reich, under the German Nazi rule in those days, was the biggest. And I won't repeat what he said, but it began with the word F. And he basically was so, I would argue, anti-Semitic, that he was actually thrown out of the equivalent Extinction Rebellion in Germany. And he bases his failure in life on the climate crisis. He has a failed business or two, I understand. And I really do question somebody like Rogerl Hallam and his qualifications. He's been rejected by the democratic mandate of the British people in 2019. They failed democratically. Nobody is interested in their voice. And yet, somebody like Greta Thunberg, when she was a 16 or 17-year-old school dropout, he's never actually achieved an educational qualification in all her life. Now, I may be wrong recently. She's now in her early 20s, I believe. But she's never actually achieved anything of any note. She has no scientific qualifications. And so this strange Joan of Arc figure is being adopted by drug-taking anarchist dropouts. And they're getting major coverage on the media. It's a rather strange thing. And what I would argue is that it's a campaign that's built on a big lie. And Gail Bradbrook, Simon Bramwell, Rogerl Hallam, who founded Extinction Rebellion, the follow-on groups Insulate Britain and Just Stop Oil, they're very well-meaning. But when you dig down a little bit deeper, the whole philosophy is a house of cards. And I would ask you, and I've said this in some of my other YouTube presentations, ask why they are getting that coverage. Why did Greta Thunberg get invited to Parliament, and why was she lauded and praised by the Conservative Party, by the Labour Party, and by the Liberal Democrat Party? It seemed rather strange that this then 16, 17-year-old Swedish dropout who has special needs, who I would argue has been manipulated by her absentee parents to support something which is really built on a whole house of cards, and it is a campaign built on lies. Do the research yourself, find out yourself, and thank you for listening to me. I really do appreciate it. And get the word out to your friends that Just Stop Oil, Extinction Rebellion, and Insulate Britain are campaigns that are built on lies. Have a nice day. Be sensibly green. Be rationally green. Look after the environment. But don't believe the tissue of lies that these so-called green movements put out about the environment. They're not true. They never have been. They never will be. And the data and the science eventually will prove that there is no climate catastrophe. Climate changes over time. The main driver of all of this is solar influence. So have a nice day, and thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.